Hello everyone, I'm Colin Cadet. Today we're going to be making some clamping cauls, and for those of you who stick around later on, I've got some really neat tricks on how to use them. So let's get started. Now, clamping cauls can be just flat wood, like these two boards that I have, and I use these from time to time for different things, or they can be curved. And if you look at this one, you'll notice that it's high in the middle and tapering off on each side. And I've actually planed that board so that it's like that. And there's another one like that. So you can use these two boards together and get lots of, because I'm clamping, you see how I'm clamping, you can imagine the amount of pressure there is in the center there. So you can use those two boards together, or you could use one with each one of these boards so that you could get, if this is all the power that you need here to get those boards together, you could use them that way. So there's lots of options. So let me show you how easy it is to make one of these arced boards that you can use for a caul. Basically all we need to do, and this piece of wood that I have here is just an ordinary piece of scrap leftover wood. I'm just going to find the center, which is right about there, and I'm going to mark the center of this at 3/16 because this little measuring board that I have for drawing arcs, it's 3/16 of an inch. On the ends, I'm going to mark 1/4 of an inch on each side, and I'm just using my marking bars for these because it's quick and easy. And now all I need to do is put a couple of nails. Let's use something a little smaller. Here's a couple, and just put those in. One in the center, and a couple on the ends. Now watch this. This is so cool. Look at that. There's the arc. And now all I need to do is draw a line. And that gives me a perfectly curved line. Now what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to take that to my bandsaw and just cut most of that off, and then I'll come back and do a little bit of trimming with the plane. There we go. Let's try that one. Okay, now we're just going to take a little bit off that. Okay. Now I'm not going to make you sit through this, but I'm just going to take that piece that I put on the bandsaw and just even that off a little bit, and when I come back we'll have a nice arced piece of wood. There it is, and you can see how it's that much thinner at the ends and thicker in the middle. Only takes a few minutes to make a good quality caul. Okay, for those of you who have stuck around long enough to see the tips and tricks on using cauls, a lot of you have already figured out that one of the problems with cauls, if we don't watch it, is that glue from the boards that we glue up or the cabinets that we're gluing up, you can get glue on your cauls, and it's not uncommon for them to get glued up in a glue up. So what we want to do, there's a few things we can do. I use this stuff, this plastic, it comes in rolls. You could use saran wrap. I've heard of people using wax paper. That works as well. The other thing I've used is just ordinary paraffin wax, and you only need to put it over the area where the glue line is in your boards. But I usually coat the whole thing, and you know what? It works just great, and I've never had a problem with it coming off on the wood. It's just one way of doing it. But here's another thing, and I've never heard anybody using this before. I'm sure there's lots that do. I just have never heard of anybody using it. I cut these little strips, 1/8-inch strips of plywood, and I use them on either side of my glue line so that my glue, because it kind of lays flat, so that my glue, when it oozes out, that it can't actually touch my cauls. And you know what, you need to use these on both the top or the bottom, or if you're using the paraffin, you can use the combination, but you could use these in both places. And you know what, You could even use these as the height. You know how these cauls are higher in the middle and lower on the side? If you haven't got cauls that are arced like this, you could use flat cauls and get the same effect, because the arc can be made from using this 1/8 plywood or even a thinner plywood and still having the same effect. So there's another little trick that you might want to try. There's lots of different variations, and using cauls is one great way of getting good glue ups quickly and easily. Well, that concludes my video today on clamping cauls. And you know, 20 or 30 years ago, we used these things all the time, but you don't hear much about them anymore. But one of the little secrets of woodworking that can make your glue ups even better. I'm Colin Canet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.